What's up, Rangers fans? Hope you all are having a great start to your day. I know I am, because a lot of things are going to be happening for all my favorite teams coming up soon, and including for hockey with the New York Rangers. We know that Tony DeAngelo is going to be out of town sooner than later, so the question is, where is he going to land? There has been a lot of news that has really come out recently, so that's what we'll be taking a look at and basically summarizing the situation as a whole since the last time I touched on it alongside Statboy Steven in episode 4 of Rangers Review, the last video here on the channel, as we were giving our initial reactions to Tony being first put on waivers. A lot has changed since then, so we'll be taking a look at that and everything in between. So as always, guys, make sure you stay all the way until the end of the video for all the deets and all my thoughts on Tony D and where he could possibly land this NHL season via trade. And if you guys end up enjoying this kind of Rangers content and want to see more great Ranger content like this, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button, share this video with your friends, put on the notification bell, all those great things. But enough of me talking, guys. Let's get right into this video. Alright, guys, so we all know the story with Tony by now, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, but yes, he has been put on waivers. Cleared waivers, is currently with the taxi squad, and he is going to be either traded or bought out by the Rangers, because as we know, Jeff Gordon in the presser a couple days ago stated how yes, Tony has played his last game with the Rangers, and then they're going to be looking to trade him away, and they have been for a little bit now, so it isn't too surprising. He was on a short leash, and really anything that arrives with him, anything at all, and this incident is definitely significant, would be his falling with the Rangers. So that's what happened. It is what is now for the Rangers and Tony respectively to move on. So what is going to happen with Tony next? What teams are showing interest in him? Well, shout out to David here, a fellow Rangers fan here on Twitter that I've interacted with plenty, and I'm sure he'll be happy if he does in fact see this, but really was the first that I came across because I didn't see it live in NBC Sports this past night, talking about Tony D and how Bob McKenzie has said how numerous teams have shown interest in him through a trade, including these four in particular, that being the LA Kings, the Anaheim Ducks, the Calgary Flames, and the Detroit Red Wings, which is very interesting. Makes sense why he would go more so out west than staying in the division. The Rangers don't want to keep him in the division, I'm sure, and while the Rangers don't need to necessarily trade him, they can buy out his contract, which may very well happen should they not see a deal that's best fit. They don't want to retain all that salary and feel that they can deal with the buyout, which would be a shorter term when it comes to dollars that they're working with, giving away for him just over a longer period of time. That's another possibility. The Rangers unfortunately have bought out plenty of guys over the past 5 years, so it's not the best look, but at this point it is what it is, and Tony would be very interesting for all these teams. I don't really think all of them add up as to why they would be a good suitor, but when you look at both how they currently are constructed, either being a rebuild, having cap space they work with to take Tony's contract even if it's retained, or others that are more contending like the Flames, I can see the reasons here. But getting into each team basically one by one as a summary, the LA Kings, they are a possibility. They're a team that definitely can add on the blue line. They have Detroit, they have Drew Doughty, as we know, and they have young guns in this rebuild, and Tony would definitely bring more offensive upside, not so much defensive upside at this point in his career, I would say, but can still bring a lot to the Kings team. And they have cap space that they're working with right around 9.3 mil, and the guy that very well could come back the other way for the Rangers, and I don't know how much I'm banking on it just because he's still young and is a guy that I think the Kings value to an extent right now, is Ole Mata, that they signed in the offseason. As we know, Ole Mata is only 26 years of age, won a couple cups as we know with the Penguins, and has 3 mil left on per year for 2 years on his deal. So a possibility there for a defensive replacement. The Rangers either eat 25 or 50% of the salary. Not that they need to, but I just kind of feels like that they don't have the upper hand in some of these talks should they acquire some type of reasonable asset in return, even if it's not to Tony's level when it comes to production right now. Odds are it's not going to happen given what's transpired with him and everything in between. But getting on to the Anaheim Ducks, they're a team that really does not add up to me. It makes sense why they're showing interest. They've been wanting to add the blue line. They're a team that was rumored to show interest in Tony in the past, this past offseason, but between adding Kevin Shattenkirk to that 3-year deal in free agency, drafting Jamie Drysdale, who very well could be in the league a year from now, who's a great power play puck moving defenseman, and also having Hampus Lindholm and Cam Fowler, who still know how to move the puck as well. Tony doesn't look like a realistic fit in Anaheim. Not saying it's impossible, I just don't understand that connection there. They have zero cap space. They're using 3.3 mil currently for LTIR use. They have younger guys. It would be a situation where the Rangers, maybe they could go after Lindholm, but at the same time, Lindholm has 2 years left on his deal. The Rangers would have to cough up more than Tony. Definitely either a high draft pick or a good prospect, and again, I just don't feel that as realistic personally at this point in time. But then when you get on to other teams like the Red Wings, another team that kind of left me scratching my head, because if you guys don't know, Stevie Y, who is now the GM for the Red Wings, was originally the GM for the Tampa Bay Lightning during their time when they drafted Tony back in 2014, the first round. I believe he was drafted in 2014, right? So when they did, they took the flyer on him when everything that happened with him in juniors, and then shortly after he was drafted and going into camp, he was then dealt to the Arizona Coyotes. So it seems like that there was a clear short leash there at that point in time. Obviously things have changed then. Tony's not the same person that he was back going into juniors first in the NHL. I think we can all agree on that, regardless of how you feel about him personally. He's not the same player. He's a better player, and I think he is a better person overall, but he still has his issues and has all the talent in the world. It's just about putting it together. So I don't think that the Red Wings would make sense, because one, they're in a full rebuild, and yes, Tony would definitely be a huge part of that defense, being a great puck moving defenseman, but it just doesn't add up to me with that connection with Stevie Y unless he truly has a change of heart. And what would the Rangers get in return in this situation? As we know, the Wings have just under $7 million cap space they're dealing with. So could the Rangers do a deal, maybe bring Mark Stahl back? Like, that's the only thing that I could maybe think about that would be somewhat sensible, because he has his cap at a 5.7 mil, but the Rangers would look silly because they gave up their second round pick in this year's draft to dump him to the Red Wings in the first place. So I don't know. Red Wings don't look like a great fit, but they are one of the suitors, as we know. But the team that really stands out to me for more reasons than one is the Calgary Flames. So if you guys don't know the story with the Flames here, they don't have much cap space they're working with. At the time of recording this currently, he's right around 1.3 mil, but there's one guy that stands out that would make so much sense for the Rangers to land, given their lack of center depth as it is, but especially with Hedl out, and that is Sam Bennett, the 24-year-old centerman, and can play the wing. He's been a depleted role these past couple of years, really since he got drafted by the Flames. He had an increased role originally, but has been the bottom 6 these past couple of years, and at the age of 24 has plenty of upside there, is defensively responsible, can help you on the PK, can be on the power play too should you need him there. Not that I think that there's too much offensive upside at this point in time, but he's young, controllable, has a cap hit of 2.5 mil currently, and is a guy that has been the rumor mill as of late, because there's been all the reports that yes, he's on the trading block, he's going to be dealt sooner than later, because he's just not a great fit for the Flames. Things really never lived up to the hype, originally being a top first round draft pick a couple years ago. So Bennett originally had a strong rookie year, that has been more of a consistent like 25 to 26 point getter for a couple years, and then this past season in the this past year he only had 12 points in just over 50 games, and it really stood out in the playoffs, as we know, but outside that there wasn't a lot there, and he only has 1 point in 9 games thus far for the Flames. So he's on his way out, and that would make more sense than one, I would say, more reasons than one, because the Rangers, they would give up Tony to retain probably 50%, because the Flames don't have much money they're working with, and then in return the Rangers would get Bennett in this situation, who's an RFA at the year's end, and they can probably negotiate a good deal for Bennett. Again, 24 years of age, defensively responsible. I think he would really check off a lot of the boxes for a guy like David Quinn, what he would bring, and he would be an increased role, would easily be the third line center at the time of recording this with Hedl still out, and then what you can figure out what you want to do with Bennett once Hedl is back in the lab. Bennett will either probably stay maybe on the top 6, top 9 I should say, on the wing, or you possibly have him back on the fourth line and then figure out what you want to do with him. But again, young, controllable, would make a lot of sense for the Rangers. I personally have had my radar on him for the past year and a half, so I think he would really fit with the Rangers. And this type of deal with this Flames team that is trying to compete, wants to win the division, they're on the outside looking in currently in the North Division to start out the year. They could use a more offensively upside guy in that blue line. I know that they have their captain Giordano, who's still very much strong, but he's in the latter half of his career, as we know. Then if you look at Yusuf Valimaki, he's a power play quarterback of the future. That's what at least we've all been under the impression of, but he has not been absolutely lights out to start the year, to say the least. They have other guys like Killington, who we know was waived. I believe he cleared waivers earlier. I wanted the Rangers to show interest in, but they didn't at the time. Maybe he could be a part of this too, along with maybe something else from the Rangers side of things. But when you look at that blue line currently, they could use a guy like Tony to really help the offensive side of things even more, because when you look at the weapons around them, Johnny Hockey, Sean Monahan, Elias Lindholm, I should say, and then you obviously have Kachuk and all those great weapons in that top 6. They could really cook with Tony on that power play. I'm sure they can. As long as Tony can try to have the right head on his shoulders and balance well with Calgary, that could be a good fit for both sides here. So makes a lot of sense. I think that's the most realistic fit out of the teams reported, and that is not further discussing teams that haven't necessarily been reported, but could also make sense. And there's one in particular that I will probably be touching on another video very soon. So stay tuned for that, guys, because it's regarding another player. And if you guys have been following me along on social media, then you probably know who I'm referring to. So stay tuned, guys. But let me know your thoughts down below, because one more thing also before I let you go here, and this was tweeted out earlier today, I believe by Dreger here, that Sam Bennett today, at the time of recording this, is not playing. He will not be in the line for the Flames. So there could be a different reason for that, but that is a fair reason to suggest that he is much on the train block and he's being sit out as a healthy scratch, because he's going to be dealt, or he might be dealt later today. Only time will tell. So let me know your thoughts on that, along with obviously Tony overall, how you feel about this situation. Where do you think he's going to land, and if he's going to land at all, or you think the Rangers are going to buy him out? Please please let me know if you guys did in fact enjoy this kind of Ranger content and want to see more great Ranger content like this. Again, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button, share this video with your friends, put on the notification bell, all those great things. Thank you all so much for the countless support, guys. We're gonna have some more great Ranger content here very soon, along with my next Rangers review with Statboy Steven in a couple days, among some other great things. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you so much, and let's go Rangers.